In this video, I'm going to be breaking down to you the limited full-time opportunities in either the Army National Guard or the Army Reserve. Disclaimer though, you cannot join or enlist into the Guard or Reserve, which is part-time service within the military, directly into a full-time position. However, this video is going to break down to you that once you're in, you got your foot in the door, you completed all your training, what are some of the options of serving full-time within a part-time branch like the Army National Guard and the Army Reserve. This is not a topic that's heavily covered here on YouTube, so hopefully I will do you some justice with some insights and explaining to you some of the different opportunities that will be at your fingertips once you complete all your initial entry training, meaning your basic combat training, your AIT or your advanced individual training, or OTOT, which is your one station unit training. So stick around to the end so you can be well informed. Here we go! What's up, everybody? Welcome back here to Team Swartz, and if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. Here I post a ton of Army basic training tips, recruiting, and other Army related videos, to include going live weekly, practically religiously, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, my name is Sergeant First Class Swartz, your local New York Army National Guard's full-time recruiter and part-time drill sergeant. With that being said, here on the channel, my mission is to help you and assist you in making a well-informed decision throughout the enlistment process and to prepare yourselves both mentally and physically for Army basic training. So without further ado, welcome to yet another video. You can and will only join into the Army National Guard or the Army Reserve into part-time status, okay? So once you've completed all of your initial entry training, meaning that your basic training and your job training, known as your AIT or your advanced individual training, or all of your OTOT, your one station unit training, you are considered MOS or military occupation specialty qualified, meaning that you've completed your job training, okay? Once you've completed that and you are MOS qualified, then once you get to your unit of assignment, now you can start exploring possible limited, and I do mean limited, full-time opportunities. Some of these limited full-time opportunities will be including AGR, ADOS, ADSW, OTOT, military technician, counter-drug, state active duty or SAD for short, civilian employment, and more. Now, starting at the top, AGR or Active Guard and Reserve is the holy grail of all full-time opportunities within the Guard and Reserve, okay? This is the best option to eventually get into. If you can't directly get into it, it's a lot more challenging and more difficult to get AGR because how lucrative this position is. For the most part, AGR is going to be rank specific, usually going to be specialist or corporal, promotable to sergeants, and oftentimes it will be listed in the job description that you have to have your BLC, your basic leadership course, completed, okay? That's your first NCO or non-commissioned officer school for leadership to prepare you for the next rank as a sergeant, okay? And some of these more commonly known AGR positions throughout the units in both the Guard and Reserve is each unit has a handful of full-time staff, okay? And these positions will consist of a readiness NCO, a unit administrator, a unit supply sergeant. You know, each company or battalion will have a battalion career counselor or 2 or 3, right? And both in the Guard and Reserve, you could be a recruiter. It works kind of differently in the Army National Guard because we have a 79 Tango is the actual MOS if you convert to it. Otherwise, it is a skill identifier, meaning that you are still your current MOS, but you're working in the capacity as a recruiter as a 79 Tango, okay? Conversely, in the Army Reserve, they will be awarded the MOS 79 Romeo. That is their recruiter position, okay? Guard is recruiting and retention NCO. Again, in the AGR program, it is going to be rank specific 99% of the time. So career counselor, unit supply sergeant, unit administrator, typically are gonna be specialist promotable to sergeant with BLC qualified, sometimes not, depending on how it's listed. Unit readiness NCO and training NCO, or at least a staff sergeant to a sergeant first class, okay? So just keep that in mind. What are you doing, girl? I'm filming a video here, shooting knowledge downrange. Additionally, native to the New York Army National Guard, located on Fort Hamilton, we have a small, tight unit called the CST, or the Civil Support Team, which is essentially a glorified hazmat unit. So essentially they work side by side in a joint effort with civilian entities to basically respond to any type of nuclear, biological, radiological, chemical incident within the Northeast, right? So that's a pretty cool unit to get into as well. But if you do get into it, understand that your first 12 months in the CST is primarily gonna be in a whole bunch of different schools. If you're joining the New York Army National Guard, and this is probably the same with each state because each state in US territory has its own National Guard, so they may have their own website for you to apply for these said positions. So I will include the link down below. The DMNA website for the New York Army National Guard jobs website will be down in the description area. If you are applying for AGR and other full-time opportunities, which I'll discuss in a moment, then you will go through Mob Cop on the Tour of Duty website. I may show some B-roll of this or not, but that's where you will apply for those positions if you are in the Army Reserve. And in this section, I'm gonna loop in together ADOS, ADSW, and OTOT. ADOS stands for Active Duty for Operational Support. Then we have ADSW, which is Active Duty Special Work. And then OTOT, which is your one-time operational tour. And these are temporary positions that are typically no more than 1 year long and not as lucrative compared to AGR, which is more permanent and a minimum of a 3-year tour, right? Whereas ADOS, ADSW, and OTOT are no more than 1 year long and can be canceled at a moment's notice for no reason at all. Maybe funding is cut, the position is no longer needed, it's not as safe and secure as AGR. Now, comparing AGR to ADOS, ADSW, and OTOT, you might have to choose a position within ADOS, ADSW, and OTOT to get your foot in the door, to create rapport, build a perception of you being reliable, dependable, and a hard worker, so that if and when an AGR opportunity becomes available, they will now think of you because you are perceived to be a good soldier. The types of positions that you can apply for within ADOS, ADSW, OTOT can pretty much be anything in the Army, right? Whether it's Guard or Reserve, it could be within the Recruiting Command, it could be working at National Guard Bureau, the Professional Education Center, or Strength Maintenance Training Battalion within the Army National Guard, and anything on the Army Reserve side, again, within recruiting, waivers, finance, marketing, so on and so forth. Again, these are temporary, full-time federal positions that you could do up to a year at a time. Anything beyond 3 years is going to require an exception to policy. So if they're gonna evaluate your work ethic, your work history, and are you a good soldier within this position to get authorization to extend your orders beyond that 3-year mark. All right, it's typically a temporary full-time position that they don't want you to do for more than 3 years. But if you're the best of the best, then it could go longer than 3 years. But these are, in my opinion, stepping stones to get you to the AGR program, because that is the intent of this whole process. Army National Guard, you will go through your DMNA website for the state level stuff, and you will go through Tour of Duty for these things that are outside of your state, as previously described. And for you Army Reservists, you will do the same thing through Mob Cop in the Tour of Duty website to apply for those said positions, which will go through your HRC, your Human Resources Command. So make sure that your packet is extremely tight. In this next section, I'm gonna be breaking down to you the military technician positions. All right, now these are paid as civilians, so it's not as lucrative as being on federal active duty where you earn your base pay and your housing allowance. You're gonna get a set salary as if you're like a civilian with no ability to earn housing allowance like you would as a normal active duty soldier in a reserve component or living off post as a normal active duty soldier. So it's not as lucrative as the ADOS, ADSW, OTOT, or the AGR program, but these positions will include but not be limited to mechanics and maintenance working on military vehicles, military facilities, accounting, running the ranges, and make sure you do like range control, what we call it, right? To include things like housing management and more, all right? These are some of the positions that are within the military technician position. So that's gonna wrap up the federal options or the opportunities, both Guard and the Reserve. What makes the Army National Guard different, unique, and what attracted me to the National Guard is not only do we answer the call for federal opportunities being called upon by the president to serve overseas for humanitarian missions, peacekeeping missions, or obviously combat-related missions, but each state and U.S. territory has its own Army National Guard because we are considered state militia. So our first and foremost main reason for us existing in the National Guard is to assist our states in times of need, to assist during natural disasters, state emergencies, pandemics, civil unrests, all the above. Anything that happens within our borders to our respective states, we can be called upon at a moment's notice. So we get access to both federal and state funding and federal and state opportunities. So some of these next few opportunities are gonna be exclusively for the Army National Guard. So if you're in the Army Reserve, sorry, you might as well just cut off this video. Sorry, man, you should have went guard. Hashtag go guard, baby. With one of these options being counter drug, all right? This is a phenomenal option. It is not rank restricted. I've seen somebody as little as a E2 private, all right? All the way up to a major and higher, all right? So with that being said, this may be an opportunity for you that you could apply for once you complete all your initial entry training and not have to worry about being a specialist promotable to a sergeant or a corporal promotable to a sergeant. So I'm not too privy to the counter drug program, so I'm gonna read off some of the stuff that I thought was important to explain that program to you. So the counter drug option, or the opportunity that you can apply for, and their mission is to support the detection, interdiction, disruption, and curtailment of drug trafficking activities and use through the application of military unique skills and resources. Here in the New York Army National Guard, or any state for that matter that has this counter drug program, it does an analysis and fusion, meaning that they provide support with link analysis, document exploitation, financial analysis, and case construction for federal, state, and local and tribal agencies. The focus is on the disruption of illicit drug financing, production, transportation, and distribution. That is essentially, in a nutshell, what the counter drug program is within the Army National Guard. With this next option, I have to say before I go into it, active duty recruiters across the board in every branch of service always misinform and lie to their potential applicants, saying that the Army National Guard is strictly state funded, and that is far from the truth, either through ignorance or straight up lies. The fact of the matter is the Army National Guard serves both federal and state missions. As part of our federal missions, we serve our country by the direction of the president, who is our commander-in-chief, for all overseas missions, whether that's humanitarian missions, peacekeeping missions, and obviously combat-related missions. In addition to that, the Army National Guard, which is what we're more known for, our main mission, is to assist our states in times of need for natural disasters, state emergencies, civil unrests. We can add pandemics now, right? Anything that our governor deems necessary, because each state and U.S. territory has its own National Guard. We are considered state militia. So those state funds facilitate those tasks, because as a soldier in the Guard, it is generally not MOS specific, because we can be called upon to do everything but not limited to filling up sandbags, conducting search and rescue missions, deliver food, water, supplies, personnel or equipment, maintain law and order, so on, so forth. Whatever the governor wants, that's what we do, all right? So with that being said, when it comes to COVID, we did and do everything to include sanitizing facilities, setting up and running vaccination sites, right? Testing sites, transporting, basically mortuary affairs, transporting deceased COVID patients and moving them from one location to the next. So we are super involved in our community in times of need, and we respond to natural disasters like forest fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, so on and so forth. All the above. So we get the best of both worlds serving in the Army National Guard. I say that to say this. This next opportunity, which I will share with you, is Guard specific again, and is exclusively state funded. You will receive your base pay for your rank, housing allowance if otherwise eligible for it. So it is a great opportunity, but it can be canceled at a moment's notice. It's not a one-year tour, right? It's as you go on. It's kind of hard to explain, but it is a full-time position at the state level. So you're not earning retirement points because it is not federal, it is strictly state. So for me, my opinion, and what I wanna stress or impress upon you is, if you do end up going state active duty, Use that as a stepping stone to get your foot in the door and work your way up to ADOS, ADSW, OTOT, to AGR. Here in the New York Army National Guard, we primarily have two state missions. We have the Joint Task Force Empire Shield, which are the soldiers you see standing guard and assisting the civilian law enforcement agencies at like Amtrak, Grand Central, Penn Station, JFK, LaGuardia airports, and other strategic locations throughout the city. That's part of our Homeland Security mission to deter terrorists from planning or executing another attack here in the New York City area. Upstate New York, we have a lot of flooding around the Great Lakes and whatever. That is another mission I don't know a lot of, but that is another state mission that we have as well. In addition to that, this is actually Title 32 federal actual active duty service through the state through COVID, as previously described, dealing with the pandemic, right? And these next two options is the CPC, or the New York State Citizen Preparedness Corps, which is what CPC stands for, helping with awareness, preparedness, and education for disasters, working with the Guard soldiers and the Red Cross. This last option, which I thought was awesome, very, very interesting. I don't have a lot of information on it. They're actually still looking for people to apply for it, but it is the cyber support for DHSES, the CSD, meaning it's a pilot program responsible for developing cybersecurity assessment programs. I think that's awesome. It's definitely a booming field on the civilian side because, oh man, this is an awesome opportunity. Again, it's all gonna be down in the description area in the DMNA website for the New York Army National Guard if you're interested. But yeah, each state should have something very similar as well. Last but not very least, we have our civilian positions. I'm not gonna go deep diving into this because it's the lowest of the low. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it is additional employment opportunities as a civilian within the New York Army National Guard or your respective states. With that being said, one notable position that I will say is we have it used to be the Family Readiness Group, FRG for short, but now it's the Citizen Soldier for Life program, which kind of mirrors very similar to the Army's One Source that are for active duty soldiers that are on Title 10 regular Army active duty orders. In the Guard, we're part-time, right? So we're considered M-Day in the Army National Guard. I'm not sure what the equivalent is for Army Reserve, but essentially you're part-time. So most of the benefits for the Citizen Soldier for Life program is geared towards the soldiers that are deploying or deployed overseas and their family members, but they do have various programs to assist our soldiers who are also part-time. Everything not being limited to like housing issues, right? Finance, like loans and lawyers and resume writing and mock interviews and so on and so forth, right? It started at the state level, but now has grown to a national level program to assist our Guard members, and it's a phenomenal program. I used it once before. Several of my soldiers used them. They're amazing. In fact, I'll be bringing on Miss Wong, which is one of those representatives who will describe the program in her own words and what they do for our soldiers. Again, this is just one position of many as a civilian, but it is a phenomenal opportunity that you can check out and explore for yourself. All right, you told me enough. Sign me up, Sarn. Sign me up. Where can I find these opportunities? All right, cool. If you're in the New York Army National Guard, link down below. The DMNA New York Army National Guard jobs website is down below. Additionally, tour of duty website. You need to have your CAC, which is your Common Access Card, your Army ID card essentially. You'll need that to log on to Tour of Duty to look at things within your state and across this country. Bonus website is USAJOBS.gov, which are civilian positions that are across the country that you can explore. You might have to relocate, so on and so forth, but those are full-time positions across the country. I've also included a link down in the description for you to check out if you want to learn more about the Army National Guard's counter-drug program. Again, there's no guarantee that you will get part of any one of these programs, but they are limited full-time opportunities that you can explore and apply for once you come back from training. Again, when these jobs are listed, it'll tell you the prerequisites, what is required. If you're not MOS qualified for any one of these options, it doesn't matter. As long as you have the line scores and otherwise eligible and qualified for these said positions, they will send you to school or training to get qualified so that you can work in the capacity of the job that you applied for. With that being said, if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you. Please do me a huge solid, like this video, smash it if that's something you're into, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on all notifications so that you don't miss anything, especially when I go live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, may the Swartz be with you, and I'll see you in the next video.